Hello, ladies. How's it going? It's been a while since I have been in here. I know I've invited a whole bunch of people, so I'm going to hang out for a minute until we have some of our group arrive today. We're going to be talking about the one decision, because there's only actually one decision that you need to make in your life, in your relationship, whenever it is that you feel stuck. It looks like we're a go. So wonderful to have you all here today. I want to introduce myself to those of you who might be new to the space. My name is Jenny Glick. I moderate the space here. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified sex therapist. And currently, what I do in this present iteration is help guide women like you who might be stuck in their relationship to find freedom, to find liberation, to feel more vibrancy and aliveness, both in their relationships with themselves and in their relationship with their partner, in however it is that that might go for them. Hi, Jen. How are you doing? Nice to see you. So I know I had several women message me and say, I'm going to do my best to make it, but tag me in the post if I'm not there so I can watch the replay. What one of my superpowers is making complex decisions much easier for people, because I talk to women all day long. I talk to women about their problems, and I have for 15, almost 20 years, a very long time. And one of the things, there's construction happening. I'm listening right now. That's my husband, who did not get the memo not to do what he's doing right now. And we're going to go with it and see how this goes. And if I have to pause and go bang on the wall, I will. Life, living, and working at home, right? This is how it goes for all of us. So I talk to women all the time who tell me that they're stuck, who tell me, I don't know if I should stay or if I should go. They tell me, I don't know if I married the right person. They tell me about connecting with their old flame on Facebook or Instagram or whatever their thing is. They tell me about how it is that they're in their head about their relationship so much. And they're in their head going back and forth around, is this the right person? Could I be happier? Why is it so hard? It should be easier. Nobody told me it was going to be this hard. I should just leave. I can't leave because of the kids. What's going to happen to the kids if I leave? That's terrible. I'm so selfish. And in that ball of internal, what I feel like is a way of terrorizing yourself, right? Because you have all those thoughts, and all those thoughts have decisions behind them, or have feelings, all those thoughts have feelings behind them, and they're feelings of guilt and frustration and anger and sadness and resentment and contempt and feeling not enough, right? And when we feel all of those things, internally, what happens is it feels like too much, the pressure is too much, and then what do? We feel like we have to cope, right? We have to do something to cope. So we overshop, we drink, we use drugs, we escape by flirting with somebody, we escape by throwing ourselves into our business. We pick up a second job and start selling oils or herbs or pills or juice or whatever the things are, which are great, right? But we throw ourselves into that so that we can avoid and not pay attention to the fact that we're living in a state of unease. We're not happy. We might have dis-ease in our life, right? So actual physical disease of our body. And so we check out and become occupied with everything else because we don't know what to do with all of the questions swirling around in our heads. And so many women who I talk to have tried all the things, right? All different kinds of therapy and yoga retreats and physical things and psychics and all kinds of stuff, which is great because, we do those things and it feels good, or we meet really cool people, or we feel like we have more of an understanding around something one way or the other. And a lot of people want to know why. Like, why am I like this? Why is it so hard? And so they have that understanding now that they can see why they're like this, why their partner's the way that they are. And that can feel very satisfying. And yet, they're still in this place of looping in these thoughts and these feelings, in asking themselves these questions and feeling like they can't decide. I talk to women who have been separated from their partners for years and feel like they can't decide what to do, right? Because if I leave, what about the kids? If I actually leave the house and we don't just live in separate rooms? And again, there's nothing wrong with living in separate rooms if that works for you. If that's your jam and if you're fulfilled and feel happy and vibrant and alive doing that, beautiful, do it. Right? Most of the women who I talk to don't feel happy and alive and beautiful doing that. They feel dead and like they are not experiencing life in the way that they want. And they feel like they're suffocating. I have women who tell me they feel like they're in a straitjacket. Right? And if that's the case, then they're deciding around the wrong thing. And so I'm calling this talk something about there's only one decision to make, because there's only one decision to make in your life. And when you make the one decision in your life, then the rest of it, it's not that it becomes easy, but it's simpler. Right? When we have a guiding vision, when we have a guiding principle in our life, then the subsequent questions and actions become so much easier. You know, when women say to me, I don't know if I should stay or go, that question, I often say, that's like 30 steps down the road, and you're right here. There are all kinds of things to do between here and there. And the one decision, so here it is, 7 minutes in, here's the big question, okay? The one question, the one decision that you actually need to make, if you're willing to, is deciding, do I want to show up in the arena of life? Which I'm going to talk about the arena of life in many different ways to help you understand. Which means, do I want to sit in the bleachers and complain about what's happening in my life? Do I want to keep doing the old habituated ways of doing things, the way that I've been practicing doing them for so many years? Is that what I want to be doing? Or do I want to decide to do the thing that's uncommon? Do I want to decide to do the thing that's uncomfortable? Do I want to decide to stop complaining about it, stop arguing for my limitations, and throw myself in to a place where I'm willing to be a champion for the kind of life or the solutions that I want to have? That I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and get in the game. Get in the game and say, yeah, you know what? I've been resentful for 10 years. Yep, totally have been resentful for 10 years. I don't want to take that on. I'm going to get out of the bleachers and get into the arena and decide if I'm willing to step in and untangle myself from the practices that I have had that have not been serving me. That's really the only decision that you have to make. And for good or for bad, what I know, because I've been doing this a very long time, is that most people will not make the decision to get into the arena until it is so bad. So bad. And we do that because it will require something of us, right? We will have to get uncomfortable. We'll have to do challenging things. We'll have to challenge our belief set. We might feel alone. People might not like us. We might lose our relationship. It's always interesting to me too, women who I talk to who have a lot of negative things to say about their husbands, which I appreciate. I understand it can be difficult, 100%. And yet they say, oh my gosh, but I don't want to get a divorce, right? And I don't work, and those of you who've been in the space for a long time know, my job is not to save marriages. I don't know if you're going to stay married or not. My job is to help guide you to make the decision to get into the arena of your life. Because as long as you're in the sidelines of your life, as long as you're back here eating popcorn, complaining about it, that it's not changing, and let me tell you all the reasons why it's not going to change, I get it. I 100% understand all the limitations, all the things that he has done or you have done, or the kids or the money or the time, the energy. And I appreciate that all of those things weigh us down. Yes, some of us have more challenges to get into the arena than others. 100%. We each have a different life path to get there. My job is to help women who are in the bleachers, who are standing up, who are looking at the arena, going, I'm ready for things to be different. And they're like, ooh, everybody else is sitting down here complaining. Everybody else is like, yeah, hum, let me just have another glass of wine and deaden myself. Everyone else is just back here thinking this is as good as it's going to be, or, having an affair on the side, or over shopping, or checking out, or, just complaining about things. Maybe I should just stay here and not lean in and get into the arena. So the women I see in this space right here, and the women who call me and talk to me, they're the ones who've been looking around going, I don't want to keep doing it this way. I'm wondering if there's a different way, right? So I'm down on the arena with women. Sorry, construction in my house. Is anybody else married to someone who's doing construction in their house right now? Apparently my husband decided to start just this minute, so that's fun. So I'm down in the arena with the other women who I call gladiators, right? Who are in there tasseling with their own fear, with their own old beliefs of limitations, with their old self-judgment, with their practices of self-bullying, of being so critical of themselves, self-contempt, right? Being hard on themselves. The women who are in their arena are in there freeing themselves of all the narratives, of all the beliefs, of all the emotions that don't serve them, to get them to where it is that they want to be in life, to help liberate them, right? And free them into a place that feels more vibrant. And I use the word vibrant because I'm not saying it's somehow better, or it's easy, or magically there are ponies and unicorns and rainbows, because that's not how it goes, right? It's vibrant because it's more technicolor. Because when we're in the arena, we still have fear. When we're in the arena, we still have challenges. But we're in there, at least the women who I work with a community of other women who are doing the same thing, and we have our eye on the prize, which is I can feel fear, but I'm going to be grounded in a version of myself that's devoted to love, to grace, to light, to ease, to relaxation, to curiosity, to wonder, to harmony, while I experience fear, while I experience challenges in the world. While I am human, I can ground myself in something bigger. And we can call that something bigger all kinds of different things. I call it your 2.0 self, your higher self, right? Hi, Jessica. And hi, Michelle. Yes, it is a curse and a blessing, right? I've been asking my husband to replace the ceiling fan for a week, and he's doing it now. I love that guy. Right? So funny. So we get to choose to be in the arena of life, and what a gift it is. Because when we're in there, I get to be with people like Jessica, who's amazing, right? And brave and courageous. And what she has learned, and many other women who I work with learn, is that the one decision that is ours to make is about getting off of the bleachers of our own life and getting into a new space where we get to learn to be nimble, where we're pivoting, where we're recognizing the old stuff and we know how to like, whoo, right? Move, shift. We know how to recognize that which doesn't serve us anymore and how to be resolutely committed to ourselves, to a higher version of ourselves. And when we practice that, and then we have to make decisions, right? About all kinds of things, how to navigate chores in the house, how to figure out co-parenting with our partner, vacation plans, especially right now, if we have different levels of comfort with sanitation and COVID, right? From that place in the arena, when we are engaging with new musculature, right? New practices around who we are and how we're showing up. We have a map because we have an idea of who that person is. We have a vision of who that person is, right? In that place, we are so much better equipped to do things like decide if I should stay in this relationship or not, right? Because if I'm planted and standing in a higher version of myself, right? In a version of myself that's not reactive, that's not doing business as usual, that's not sitting up in the bleachers complaining about everybody else. When I'm standing in a version of myself that's not about perfection, but that is about acceptance and willingness and able to own and see the difference between my truth, right? Whatever my truth is, my intuition, and my conditioned reactivity. Because those are two different things. And we often don't know those two different things if we haven't had an experience with them. Hi, Amy. I love you too. So fun to see familiar faces here. How we learn on this planet is through contrast. We learn when something is hard, then we know when it's easy. When we feel love, we know then what it feels like to feel distance or abandoned or hatred or fear, right? Contrast teaches us. And so sometimes when I talk about things like, following your heart, listening to your heart, having an experience with your intuition or your knowing, right? It's hard to know that if you've never had those kinds of experiences before, if you've lived in habituated reactivity, judgment, habituated judgment, right? That's a big one. Resentment, contempt, right? So much of that can be practiced, especially in relationship. We can be so practiced at like knee-jerk, especially if you've been with somebody a long time. It's like boom, 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 right? Just coming out. And so getting sober to those highly addictive emotional states, right? And sobriety means recognizing, wow, I keep going for this emotional drug that's not serving me. And when I recognize it's not serving me, then I can stand up in the bleachers of the arena, take a breath, and see that there are other people doing it in a different way. Even when we're in the middle of a pandemic, even when life feels highly unusual, right? Even when they're scared, and believe you me, most of the women who say yes to getting into the arena with me are scared because they're getting off the bleachers. They're leaving the norm, right? Both the norm of how it is that they used to experience their relationship and talk about it. It's way easier to talk about our relationship in terms of what our partner's not doing right. That's like not hard at all. Or to talk about it in how I'm such a bitch, or I'm so angry, or I'm so resentful, and I know that I am, right? Like we know it, but I'm going to sit here on the bleachers and eat my popcorn and not do anything about it, which is cool. Like it's totally fine if that's your thing, right? But if that's your thing, then you get to hang out there and if you are listening to me here, and if you've been in this space for a while, some of this isn't new for you, and you feel yourself piqued, your interest is a little piqued, and you're like, what are those ladies doing in the arena? How are they showing up differently? How does it look different for them? Right? What they're doing is they're literally and metaphorically leaving being a reactor, a watcher of their life, and they're becoming a player. And they're deciding, who is it that I want to be today? This moment, this breath. How is it that I want to show up? Who am I being invited to become? One of my favorite questions, right? What is the becoming that I'm being invited into right now? And that's an intimate question to ask yourself and to get present with, and then to act on, right? We are in a moment in time in so many ways, don't get me started, but as it pertains to relationships, and I'll stay off my soapbox for other things. We're in a moment of time when so many of you know what is not working in your relationship. I know because I talk to you and you tell me we're sleeping in separate rooms. We haven't had sex in 5 years. I have total contempt for my partner. We don't touch anymore at all. My son said the other day, I wish the two of you would stop fighting. Like, you all know, you tell me about the histories of your childhood and your partner's childhood and how neither of you were wired for a healthy attachment and how it is that your partner is maybe a narcissist. I hear that a lot, by the way, right now. A lot of women believe or are married to narcissists at this present moment in time. So you know, and you've read so many books. So many women say, oh my gosh, I've read so many books. I've been in therapy for 10 years. I've done this. We did a weekend class. We did, all the things, right? So you know, which is really great, but it kind of doesn't matter. I say this with all love and respect. If you don't know how, and if you don't do anything about it, right? What is the use of knowing and then watching yourself do it? Right? Watching yourself decide to do the same thing that creates the emotional scar tissue that I well know it creates. I know because I did it for a very long time. And we watch ourselves do it and we say, I know, it's just, I don't know when it's going to change. And it doesn't change. You change. Or you don't. And honest to goodness, the statistics are about 90% of people don't. After the age of 35, all of this brain wiring is wired in the way that it's wired. And it's going to stay that way unless something jolts our system. And what I see jolts our system, affairs, a lot of those right now, on both sides, all sides, right? That jolts the system. Right now, pandemic is jolting the system in a lot of ways. A lot of women I'm talking to right now are spending a whole lot of time with their partners and are like, oh my gosh, this is not good. And I've known it's not good, but now I've been in it 24/7 for 4 or 5 months, and it's really not good. So there's a jolt to the system. And kids launching and looking at your partner going, I don't know that I want to stay with you, but now that means I'm going to be out in dating land at 55, 56, and I don't know if I want to do that either, right? So because we don't tend to be proactive around these things, what happens is we wait and we avoid and we don't do anything about it. And then it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and the system is jolted and shaken. And that's when I get the phone call. And I love it because those women, you women, are so motivated because you're like, this cannot keep going for another 3 months, 6 months. The runway on this thing is there's no way I can last a year. I am up to here. And I say, bravo you for being up to here, because you know what that means? You are getting ready to decide. And you're not going to decide about your marriage one way or the other, right? That comes later. You're going to decide about yourself. Are you going to sit on the bleachers and keep watching your life go by and just do business as usual? Those of you who've been in here a while have heard me say we have about 70,000 thoughts a day. Somewhere between 80 and 90% of them are the same today as they were yesterday. Every thought has an emotion attached to it. And so you are in Groundhog Day. And it is hard for us on our own to shift that thinking, feeling, doing pattern. And it becomes like a script that we're in our lives, in our relationships. So our partner says this, and I say that, and they say this, and I say that, and they explode, and I throw up my hands and roll my eyes and say, oh my gosh, why am I married to this guy? Right? It's a powerful pattern that we have, a really powerful pattern. And that is staying on the bleachers, doing the same thing, right? In order to get up and set down your popcorn and hot dog and your soda, right? And walk down into the arena, you're going to have to put on your shoes. You have to get on your gear. You're going to have to look around and be like, what am I choosing? If I'm not choosing that, what am I going to choose instead? There's a magical question. Who am I going to be? What do I want? Yeah, it's true. How does that person show up when my husband is Mr. Grumpy Pants? When my husband is drilling a hole in the wall next door to me while I'm doing a Facebook Live? Right? Who am I going to be in that moment? Right? And so some of you want guidance to get there, because if you knew how to get there by now, you would have done it already. And if the books that you've read, and some of them are amazing, a lot of them, I've read a lot of them too. And in the early days, before I figured it out and did it on my own, I would read a lot of books and be like, this is amazing. He should read this and do it. And if he would do it, then it would be better. But I don't need to do that. I have some of my work, but he really has a lot of his work, right? Unless I really apply myself and I have community and I have a guide and I have a map and I have a mentor, I get down on that arena and I last about a day or two, and then my partner comes in and is being a grump or mean or angry or avoidant or whatever it is my partner does, and I'm like, you know what, screw this. I'm not going to be on the arena. I'm going back up in the bleachers, getting my hot dog and doing my thing, because I'm not going to do this. How come I have to do all of it? Why does he or she not have to do it? Why is it my job? Right? I hear that a lot. I say that with so much love. I hope all of you know. Because I used to say that too. Same. I used to say that. And now I know it's that I get to. I get to be in the arena because I'm alive, at least for today. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but for today I am. And what a gift, which means I get to be in the arena because it's there and because it grows me. And because then I'm contributing to the world in a much bigger way. And because then I can be a different role model to my kid. And because then I get to invite other women to be there with me. And then I get to create a platform for my husband. And I get to be calm and chill when he's drilling a hole in the wall right next door. Right? And that's a much more interesting get to than I get to sit in the bleachers and I get to complain about the stuff that's not changing. Right? And so deciding is really about, what is it that you get to decide? Right? Because life is going to give us whatever life gives us. Goodness knows we've all been dealt like the biggest hand of like WTF lately, right? Like, oh my gosh, life is going to deal us that deck of cards. And we get to decide, am I going to sit in the bleachers and complain about it and look around and have all kinds of commentary? Or am I going to get in? And if I'm going to co-create the life that I want, which means I have to take massive responsibility. Massive. Thank you, Elizabeth, for your comment. I appreciate that. And some of us don't get in the arena because I'm afraid I'm going to fail. I don't want to try because what if it doesn't work, whatever that means? There's no way that it doesn't work for you to grow and evolve and practice new things. There's no failing in that, There's challenge. It's hard sometimes, right? I was talking today to one of the women who I mentor, and she said, I feel like I keep falling in the mud. And I was like, yeah, so what if you roll over in the mud and just start laughing because you're in the mud and that's fun? Like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous, right? We get to be in the mud because we get to be in the arena because we have this beautiful gift called life for however long we have it, and none of us do know how long. And we get to then engage in our own growth. And what I've come to learn as I've been doing this a long time is the women who are attracted to working with me are attracted to growing because it's there. They want to do it because it's there. They're tired. Yes, they're tired of suffering. Yes, they're tired of the distance, and they're tired of the resentment, and they're tired of, feeling disconnected and feeling like their partner's a roommate. Yes, they're tired of all of that. And at the end of the day, they also recognize, I want to do this because it matters that while I'm living, that I am getting in there and I'm living big. And once we shift into that I'm not trying to do it to make my partner something different or my marriage something different, that happens. Believe you me, that happens. But then we can start having a little bit more fun in the arena, right? We get to try all kinds of things. And fear comes up and we get to be like, yeah, hey, fear, what's up? I see you. It's all good. It is all fine. I got it. And I get to take the hand of fear and I get to step in anyway. And I get to do it anyway. I get to show up differently in my marriage. I get to initiate sex in a different way in my marriage. I get to have hard conversation in my marriage. I get to set a boundary in my marriage. I get to heal my codependency in my marriage. I get to make a difficult decision about leaving my marriage. And I'm doing that because I made the one decision. And the one decision is to get off the bleachers and to get into the arena. So, thank you for spending time hanging out here. If you're someone who's standing up in the bleachers and you're like, maybe I need to get in the arena, then book a call with us. My team is available and we will have a free hour call with you. And if what you need to get into the arena is what I am expert at doing, and if I have 100% certainty that I can get you from here to there, we will have a conversation about that. If not, we will tell you what or who would be a better fit to get you into your arena, because that's where all the good action is, right? So, lovely to have this time with you today. Thank you for hanging out with me. I will look forward to seeing you soon. I will post a link to the place to book a clarity call if you care to in the comments below. Have a wonderful evening. Talk soon.